Hello guys, hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to be talking about infrastructure as code. So what exactly is infrastructure as code? Well, the formal definition is that infrastructure as code is the process of managing and provisioning computer data centers through machine-readable definition files rather than physical hardware configuration. So that's great, but it doesn't really help us understand what exactly this statement is trying to tell us. So let's try to explain this with an example. Suppose we have an app and we want to deploy them to a bunch of servers and behind a load balancer on a cloud. Then we can do one of two things. We can manually make all this by hand. So like you can go inside the AWS console and you can click around and create your servers. You can go inside those servers and actually like install your application, and then you may want to have like multiple servers running your application. So you may have like 5 or 10 servers that have your application on them, so you need to manually go inside all of them. And then you may want to put them behind a load balancer so that whenever your traffic wants to access your application, you can just go through the load balancer, and then the load balancer will just distribute the traffic to all your servers. So we can do that. We can do that manually, or we can write code to do this for us. So we can basically write code that makes all our infrastructure and makes all our load balancers for us. So what this code will do is basically this code will set up our application on our servers and make the servers, and then put all the servers behind the load balancer inside the cloud. So this process of defining your infrastructure in code is what you call infrastructure as code, the thing that we've all been talking about. So going back to our previous example, we can just write Terraform code to deploy our application on AWS. So all our Terraform related to actually making our machines, putting them behind the load balancer, making sure that appropriate applications are public or private. We can do all of that using Terraform, and we can use Chef or Bash scripts to actually set up the application, so the applications that will be running on the servers. There are a bunch of tools that you can use to actually accomplish this. So if you're using AWS, you can use CloudFormation to tell your code to spin up your servers, put them behind a load balancer, to choose whatever OS your server is going to be running on. All of that, you can define it as code. You can write scripts for it using Boto 3 or other AWS SDKs. If you're using Kubernetes, then you can use YAMLs. If you're using Docker, you could probably use Docker files to specify how your Docker image is going to look like. And yeah, like we've talked before, you can use Terraform or Chef to actually create your servers and then deploy your application over there, instead of manually setting up your machines individually. So like if you have 10 machines, you're gonna have to go to each machine manually and set up your application. You can just specify it in code, and then the code will make sure whatever you want is deployed how you want it to be deployed on your cloud. So infrastructure as code is super useful. It lets you declaratively or imperatively tell your code what to do, so you don't have to manually do all the work. You can just specify it in code, and then you can just run your code so that it does everything you need just like that. You don't have to manually set up your servers, specify your OS, put your application over there. Suppose you have like 100 servers, you don't have to like make those 100 servers. You can just specify your code and just tell the code to make 100 servers. It lets you roll back your changes easily. So just in case you break something, like you have a bad deployment, you made some error in your code, it has bugs in it, you may want to like roll it back. So if you have a previous version of your code, your infrastructure as code, then you can just roll back um, your deployment, and then it will go to the last place where it was basically not broken. It's also useful if you accidentally destroy something. You can easily just rerun your infrastructure as code, and it will automatically put everything back for you. It's very scalable because it removes a lot of manual work. So like in our previous example, suppose we were making like 10 servers and deploying applications to those 10 servers. You don't want to go inside each of those servers and then do the application deployment. That's probably a lot of work. That's especially not a good idea if you're dealing with hundreds or even thousands of servers and microservices. So just specifying it as code really takes out all the manual work that goes into it and just makes your life much more simpler. And most importantly, it lets you treat your infrastructure as code. So, and by doing that, you get all the benefits of having anything in code. It's much more easier to manage. It's much more easier to roll back. It's much more easier for anybody else to see what you're doing. And of course, if it's checked into something like Git, you have version control on it, which has its own benefits. So yeah, that's all about infrastructure as code. If you liked the video, make sure to support the channel by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. It really helps out. And if you want any specific videos you want me to do, suppose you want me to do any on Kubernetes, Terraform, or anything along those lines, make sure to drop a comment down below and let me know. That's all from me, folks. Hope you have a good one, and see you in the next video. Bye.